I have a daughter. Her name is Lisa. I met a woman of my age at work when I was 35. Her name was Emily, and we got married. She was a widow and had a child. She had lost her husband to illness. At that time, Lisa was only 6 years old. Lisa, this is your new dad. Nice to meet you, Lisa. Nice to meet you too. Without looking up and making eye contact with me, she answered in a small voice. It seemed Lisa was very attached to her deceased father. I heard she was adored by him as she was an only child. So Lisa wouldn't warm up to me even after her mother and I got married. Even when I offered to play with her, it didn't go well. Lisa, I will read you a storybook. No. Saying so, she would run into her bedroom. I took Lisa on trips and to amusement parks, but she still wouldn't talk to me. It was understandable that she couldn't get used to the idea of a stranger, like myself, suddenly becoming her new dad. But still, it made me sad we couldn't bond at all. Emily said she'll open up to you someday, but that didn't happen. Lisa never called me dad. When I married Emily, I vowed to myself that I would love her daughter as my own. I believed that she would eventually understand my feelings. Lisa was very studious, especially diligent about the things she was interested in. She had an interest especially in acting. At her request, we found her a theatrical troupe to join. She was only 10 years old when she started acting, but her dedication to practice was impressive. She was inspired by a play she saw in elementary school and wanted to be on stage herself. I know I was an overly proud parent, but even I could tell Lisa was a good actor. Whenever I heard Lisa was performing, Emily and I went to see her play. After the play, I praised her as much as I could, and the three of us went out for a nice meal. Lisa, your performance was wonderful. I was so moved at that particular scene that I couldn't help crying. Yet, no matter how much I praised her, her responses were always indifferent. She would often say, "Yeah," or "I see," but that didn't bother me at all. I just hoped she would open up bit by bit. Years passed. However, even as a teenager, Lisa still wouldn't call me dad. It was around this time that Emily started acting strangely. I first noticed it when I bumped into our next-door neighbor, Sophia, in the elevator of our apartment building. "Good morning. Are you off to work today? You know, we're not as well off as your family is. I see your wife always leaves in the early afternoon, dressed up nicely. Maybe she's going for a fancy lunch." I don't know. That night, I mentioned this to Emily, and she looked guilty for some reason. After that, she started avoiding me. She started coming home late under the pretext of doing overtime, and always smelt of alcohol. She wouldn't listen to my concerns, and I realized she had changed a lot. Lisa, meanwhile, continued to focus on her theater practice, ignoring her mother's behavior. When Lisa turned 15, Emily suddenly told me that she wanted a divorce. Apparently, she was attracted to someone at her workplace. I had sensed she didn't have feelings for me anymore. Staying together in such a state was only painful for both of us. In fact, I didn't even want to live with someone who was so selfish. I said, "I understand," and we both agreed to end our marriage amicably. Even though I knew the answer, I asked Lisa anyway, "Who do you want to live with, Mom or myself?" Without hesitation, she said, "Mom." Long story short, Emily and Lisa left, and I later heard Emily remarried. I wondered what my life was all about and felt like a complete failure as a husband and father. I spent my days blaming myself for everything that had happened. But after a year or so, the emotional pain of divorce subsided, and surprisingly I found myself recovering from it. Time was indeed a healer. A decade flew by, and I lost contact with Emily and became estranged from Lisa. I lived a simple life, not getting deeply involved with women. Being single wasn't so bad. I consoled myself with such thoughts. One day, I happened to see something totally unexpected. Coming home after working overtime, I just wanted to relax. I was watching TV, having a few beers. A play by a theater troupe was broadcasted. I used to go and watch plays, and I thought of Lisa. I wondered how she was doing. I wasn't really concentrating on what was on TV when a woman who looked like Lisa suddenly appeared on the show. I couldn't believe my eyes. Is that Lisa? After the play ended, I watched the credits roll. Among the names of the performers was Lisa Smith. The surname Smith must be Emily's latest husband's. I had mixed feelings. Lisa on TV had grown into such a beautiful woman. She must have worked so hard for her dreams. Seeing her again, even on TV, made me very happy. Curious about Lisa, I looked her up on the internet, something I never thought of doing. I found out she was very active on a video streaming site. Lisa, busy with her theater group, still managed to find time to update her videos daily. I remembered how hard-working she had always been. Since then, I started watching her videos every day without fail. Her videos were about her daily life and small talks and such. She didn't have many fans, but I noticed some dedicated ones were commenting daily. I was surprised at how worried I felt. Considering I was no longer her parent, I had to laugh at myself. Some time after I started watching her videos, Lisa posted a video titled, "Something I Want to Say." Something was telling me this was completely different from her usual content. I played the video. It wasn't the usual Lisa there, but she looked rather serious. She began with, "There's something I regret." Then, with a sincere look, she continued, "When I was 6, my mom remarried, and I got a new dad. He loved me unconditionally, but back then, I couldn't forget my real dad, who passed away when I was very little, and couldn't open up to this new dad. I never even called him dad. Despite all his efforts for me, I never said thank you to him. I must have been a bad daughter. He supported my acting so much." Watching the video, I said, "That wasn't even your fault," and found myself crying. I couldn't stop crying as I stared at my stepdaughter on the screen. Without thinking, I wrote in the comments, "I'm sure your stepdad will be happy seeing you succeed and be very proud of you." After watching this video, my desire to see her grew. A month later, I found out Lisa's theater group was performing at a concert hall in the city. I can finally get to see Lisa. That was what I thought. I took a day off from work just to get her ticket for Lisa's play. As soon as I got my ticket, I came home and marked the day on a calendar with a big circle. As the day of her performance approached, I found myself feeling strangely nervous. And I didn't know why. On the opening day, I left home early and headed to the venue. There weren't many people in the audience. I chose a seat on the side of the stage, worried about being recognized by Lisa. It had been 10 years. She probably wouldn't even remember my face. Yet, I still wondered what I would do if she noticed me. I waited for the play to start, my heart racing. It had been a long time since I felt this tense. The curtain rose, and the play began. Lisa wasn't the lead, but her role had quite a few lines. I thought, as a proud father, that her acting was the best among all the performers. Just watching her performance, I started crying, not sobbing or anything, but the tears started falling. At some stage, I thought our eyes met for a second, but it might have been my imagination. After the play ended, I went to the reception, intended to leave a bouquet of flowers for Lisa. After spoken to the receptionist and turned around, I saw Lisa standing there. I got so nervous I was unable to speak for a while. Finally, I managed to say, "Hey, long time no see, you were amazing." Lisa smiled and said, "You came. Thank you. I just happened to find out your troupe was performing." I stumbled over my words nervously. We stood there, smiling at each other, speechless. Then, someone from her troop called her from afar, and she replied loudly, "I'll be right there." Lisa then asked, "If you have time, can we talk a bit? Could you wait for me?" "Of course," I replied. About 20 minutes later, Lisa came back with her belongings, holding the bouquet I had given her. She looked extremely happy. We walked to a nearby cafe. After some trivial conversation, as we started to feel more comfortable, Lisa began to speak. Looking down, I grew concerned at her sad expression and asked, "What's wrong?" Lisa shared bits about her life after Emily and I divorced. It seemed things didn't go well between her and her new stepfather. Also, after Emily remarried and had a baby son, she focused solely on him, neglected Lisa. Lisa left home as soon as she graduated high school and cut all her ties with her family. It was heartbreaking, and the tears spilled out of my eyes. "Must have been very hard for you. I'm sorry I wasn't there to protect you," Lisa said. "I'm sure I deserved it. Even though you raised me for several years, I never said thank you," she muttered through tears. Hearing this, I said to her, "Don't blame yourself. I was truly happy seeing you succeed. I am very proud of you." I realized I was repeating the same words I wrote in her video comment. Lisa looked surprised, then smiled. "I still think of you as my daughter, Lisa. It doesn't matter to me that we're not biologically related. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask me. I'll do anything I can to help you." For some reason, I felt a bit embarrassed after saying that. Lisa looked delighted and said, "Thank you, Dad." From then on, I've never missed any of her performances. Sometime afterwards, Lisa got engaged and introduced her fiancé to me. "Dad, this is Steve. Steve, this is my dad. Nice to meet you." "Nice to meet you too." Steve was a senior member of her troop and seemed like a fine young man. He said he fell for Lisa, seeing her giving 100% in everything she did. I thought he was truly a right man for her. All three of us started going out for drinks, and it felt as if I suddenly became a father of 2 children. I heard Emily, my ex-wife, was having troubles with her current husband. She was caught having an affair. She brought it on herself, though. "You're my only dad," Lisa said to me, as she handed me my lunch she made. Lisa looked me in the eye and smiled warmly. From now on, I will always want to be there for Lisa, protecting her as a father.